To the younger generation, Coach,
Younger generation.
tell us how you got into the movies.
Movie.
And what made you stay?
Right.
Yes.
I entered the PBA in 1981 as an import, and because a lot of people just know me as a coach now. They don't remember that I used to be a player.
Yes.
But I was with the Detroit Pistons in the LA Summer League,
Not the
which
bad
took
boys.
place in Los Angeles instead of Las Vegas, where it is right now. And I was approached by Coach Jimmy Mariano, who was coaching the Great Taste team at that time, and he asked me if I would come over and play for them. At that time, I didn't say yes, and I think he went on to get Lou Massey, who ended up being a very good player here also. But eventually, because I couldn't get any guaranteed money with the Detroit Pistons going back to camp, I called them back and said, yes, I was interested in coming over to the Philippines. And he informed me that he had already gotten another player.
Oh.
So I was all set to go back to camp with Detroit when I got a call from Mr. Frank Hahn, deceased Mr. Frank Hahn, who's the manager of the Teflon Fiber Makers. And he invited me over to play for Teflon. So that's how I arrived on the shores of the Philippines.
So prior to coming to the Philippines, what did you know about PBA,
PBA, the
basketball
Philippines.
here?
I always tell this story. The only thing I knew about the Philippines was Gloria Diaz, actually.
Really?
And that's really showing my age. But
Miss Universe.
Yeah.
Miss Universe, right? I actually watched in my mother's floor, in her bedroom. I watched the contest.
Nice.
And I remember, oh, maganda. Maganda. So that was the only thing I knew about the Philippines. After Jamie Mariano actually contacted me in Los Angeles, he approached me on the court after one of the games there when I was with the Pistons. I actually went home and looked it up in the encyclopedias. I looked up the Philippines encyclopedias. And I found out they had Clark Air Force Base, they had Subic,
Right,
everybody
right.
spoke English here, and that's what really changed my mind. And the fact also that it was warm, because basketball players love to play in warm weather. They do not like playing in cold weather. But I guess the real reason why I stayed in the Philippines is I got married. I married my wife, Carmen, and she wanted to stay here in the Philippines. So as long as I could keep a job, I would stay here in the Philippines. But if ever I didn't have a job, I guess I would have to go back to the States.
Coach, eventually you became a coach, playing coach actually, and became the youngest Grand Slam coach to win the PBA.
In 1985, I became a player coach. Actually, I became a player coach the same year that Sonny Jaworski became a player coach. We became player coaches at the same time, and then, of course, Mon Fernandez followed a couple years later. But we became player coaches in 1985, so that was actually the start of my coaching career. It was only my 4th or 5th year here in the Philippines, and I was only 27 years old. I didn't really know anything about coaching at the time, but I was still a player, and I was still a productive player. So my production on the court helped my coaching career a great deal.
The Ambassador Cuanto convinced
Yeah,
you.
I actually had nothing to do with me becoming a coach. I don't know what he saw in me. I know I did a few Burlington basketball tips in those days for Mr. Bobon Velez, who was handling the telecast then. And that was the only coaching experience I had, coaching little kids. And when I was called into the office at San Miguel by him on the 7th floor, I thought he was calling me in to resign me as an import. But instead, I was told that he was going to resign me as a player coach, which really shocked me. But I took a chance. And that was 36 years ago, or 34 years ago.